Hello everyone, welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed, turn on notifications, and give this video a like. Thank you. Now let's slip behind the velvet ropes and into tonight's story. Last night's gala shimmered with all the things you expect: glittering gowns, crisp tuxedos, and a river of camera flashes flowing down the red carpet. But the moment that stole the air from the room wasn't about fashion or fame. It was a heartbeat. Hazal, Kaya's heartbeat, quietly given to the microphones as she stood there presenting her new film, Ask Razgarlari, and then unveiled a confession so tender it softened the night. Glamour framed the scene, but her honesty was the portrait. From the first step onto the carpet, Hazal looked luminous, poised without effort, laughing easily with photographers and greeting old friends like it was a reunion rather than a premiere. Yet the most delicate thread of the evening was woven away from the flashbulbs. In the press conference held just before the screening, she found herself speaking not only about cinema, not only about work, but about a birthday surprise that her partner, Çağatay Ulusoy, had meticulously designed, an intimate gift crafted with the kind of care that doesn't need applause to mean everything. When a reporter asked about the surprise, Hazal's features softened and her eyes brightened with that unguarded light that appears when a memory is better than words. For a breath, she seemed to float backward into that day, the tiny candles, the subtle music, a door opening into something private and warm. Çağatay is such a gentle, deeply thoughtful person, she began, her voice a quiet ripple across the room. She paused, as if holding her feelings in her hands and making sure they wouldn't spill. Then she smiled, a little shy, a little proud. I will never forget that day, she continued, and now the tremor slipped gently into her voice. The effort he put into that surprise made me feel seen and cherished in a way that you can't fully explain unless you live it yourself. The usual rustle of the press room faded. No one wanted to break the spell. It was as if every microphone leaned closer, asking permission to listen to something sacred. There are very personal details about us, she said, steady but soft. I can't share everything, but, and then her eyes glistened. Every element he included meant something specific about me. It's how he notices the tiny things, the quiet preferences, the old stories I didn't even realize I'd told him. That attention touched my heart more than I can say. She didn't linger on grand gestures. Instead, she described the intimacy of it, the way their timeline felt both long and new at the same time. Piece by piece, she described how he had threaded their lives together for one evening. There were fragments from his childhood placed beside fragments from hers, like two albums opening onto the same page. He had collected family photographs, gathered with care, and arranged them so that each picture led to a memory and each memory led to a feeling. On a wall, their favorite moments played softly, almost like a constellation mapping out a private sky. Their song, yes, that song, rose in the background like a quiet promise they'd made only to each other. It felt like all the essential pieces of my life were gathered together in one room, she said. My family, my memories, the people I love, everything was there. It meant the world. In an instant, the whispers returned to the oldest rumor of them all: marriage. New beginnings. A horizon widening into something permanent. The words shot through the hallways and out into the city before she had even left the stage, and by the time she stepped back onto the carpet, the question was waiting. Had there been a proposal? Hazal's cheeks warmed, her gaze falling to the floor with a sweet, conspiratorial smile. For now, she said softly, let's keep that between us. It wasn't a refusal, not really. It sounded like a secret shared between two people who aren't ready to let the world hold it yet. And that was all it took. Suddenly everyone wondered if the next chapter was already written. Later, still under the lights but somehow calmer, Hazal spoke about what it means to stand together in a life that moves too quickly. She described the exhaustion that comes with long hours and crowded calendars and how essential it is to have a steady voice beside you. She called Çağatay her anchor, the person who reminds her that she's more than appointments and call times. Sometimes the only thing you need is someone who, when you're tired, says, I'm here. That kind of support is priceless, she said. The words were simple, but the way she said them made them glow. The internet felt the glow immediately. Within minutes, clips of her near-tearful confession began to cascade across social media. People paused their own evenings to watch her eyes shine. "This is real love," one comment read. "You can see her happiness in her eyes," another insisted. "We don't even need to see the surprise. Her reaction tells the whole story," wrote someone else. In a matter of hours, fan edits layered her words over gentle instrumentals, slowing down the moment her voice quivered and framing it like a lyric you can't stop humming. Then came the behind-the-scenes whispers that filled in the outline of the surprise. It turned out that for weeks, quietly and without fuss, Çağatay had been piecing together something far richer than a party. He met with people close to Hazal, asked thoughtful questions, took notes on the tiny details that reveal a person's heart. Friends say he pulled old photos from family albums, tracked down a snippet of childhood video, and even found the exact fragrance that used to linger in a room where she once felt most at home. He curated a playlist that wasn't just music. It was memory stitched to melody. "Creating a surprise for her makes me feel even closer to her," he told someone on the crew. It explained the precision. Every choice meant something. He gathered letters from loved ones, arranged messages that only she would understand, and set them in an order that told a story of beginning, becoming, and belonging. There were the inside jokes that never leave a living room, a corner table from a late-night cafe recreated with the same cup and saucer, a glimmering print of the skyline they watched together after a long day on set. He thought of the way she always hums a certain note when she's thinking and placed a piano in the corner with that note ready to be struck. He remembered how she saves the last bite for someone she loves and set their dessert with 2 forks, not as a prop but as a tradition. Even the venue made a kind of poetry. The lighting wasn't dramatic, it was gentle, like afternoon sun lingering a little longer than expected. Flowers weren't there to overpower the moment, they were there to frame it, to give scent to a memory. A handwritten note was left on the door, a line from a film they once watched on a rainy day. People who were there say Hazal opened it slowly, read the words twice, and then looked up at him with a silence that said everything. No orchestra swelled. No drone descended from the ceiling. It was a quiet that felt like home. When the conversation at the press conference widened beyond romance, Hazal shifted with ease. She spoke about gratitude not as a caption, but as a daily practice. "I have so much to be grateful for, my family, my work, the people I love. Feeling safe is such a beautiful thing," she said. Those words felt like the spine of her evening: safety, gratitude, love. Fans listening thought it sounded like a threshold, the beginning of a new chapter where nothing needs to be performed to be real. It didn't go unnoticed that Ask Ruzgarlari is a story about weathering change and choosing each other in the midst of it. People drew lines between the film's theme and the night she described: the way the wind pushes, the way you stand firm anyway, the way 2 people become a shelter. Hazal has always guarded her private life, as has Çağatay. Together they built a boundary between themselves and the public that felt respectful rather than distant. Maybe that's why this confession became so powerful. It arrived without spectacle, almost by accident, and because of that it felt true. Her colleagues weighed in with warmth. A director who has worked with both of them said he wasn't surprised by the care in the surprise. "He's meticulous, but more than that, he listens." A stylist who has seen Hazal at her most hurried moments said the actress seemed grounded in a new way. She looked peaceful, like someone who knows where she's headed. None of it felt like a statement, it felt like a quiet chorus, a soft agreement that something meaningful is unfolding. As for the ring, because there is always a question about a ring, people speculated in hushed tones. Some swore they saw a sparkle caught in the edge of a photograph, others said it was only the reflection of a flash. Hazal laughed when asked and tucked her hands into her clutch. Managers smiled, publicists offered that sweet non-answer that tells you everything and nothing all at once. If there's an answer, it belongs to them for now, and maybe that's the point. By the time the final interview wrapped, a reporter said what many had been thinking: "We've never heard you speak so emotionally." Hazal took a breath that seemed to steady the room. "I've always been like this," she replied. "I just didn't show it before. But when you find the right person, you don't feel the need to hide your feelings anymore." It wasn't just a line, it felt like a declaration of independence from the performance of restraint. The gala became a love letter in disguise. Not the kind that lives in a headline, but the kind that glows in the small spaces. The way she turned to listen, the way she paused to choose the right word, the way his name softened her expression. As she walked away, applause rose, not the loud crashing kind but a warmer, more sustained sound, like a promise held in many hands. The lights flickered. The cameras recalibrated. People went back to their night with the feeling that they had witnessed something quiet and important. Online, the moment blossomed. Fans knit together the clues of the surprise into timelines like curators of an exhibition of tenderness. One account traced the playlist song by song, guessing what each track might have meant to them. Another found an old photograph that matched a frame from the video on the wall. Editors slowed the clip of her voice breaking by a fraction, as if they could live inside that exact second forever. And yet, for all the attention and all the speculation, the center of the story remained small and steady, a pair of people who have learned how to hold each other's hearts with care. That's the part that lingers most, the care. Not the flower arrangements, as lovely as they were. Not the whispers, as inevitable as they are. It's the gentleness of planning something weeks in advance and keeping it secret not for the reveal, but for the recipient. It's the patience of listening long enough to hear the smallest preferences. It's the confidence of celebrating someone not with fireworks, but with a reflection of who they really are. And so, while the night was designed to celebrate a film premiere, it will be remembered for a quieter premiere, a feeling unveiled. Hazal let the world see what usually stays behind doors, and she did it without letting anyone close enough to bruise it. That's a delicate balance. One she and Çağatay seemed to have mastered. By morning, think pieces and fan threads had already collected like dew. People debated whether love should be grand or understated, whether privacy is a wall or a window. The irony, perhaps, is that this love seems to need neither applause nor approval. It simply is. And because of that, its presence filled the gala like a perfume you notice only when you step outside and realize you're still carrying it with you. So if you ask what happened last night, the answer is both simple and enormous. An actress introduced her film. A partner crafted a surprise. A rumor took flight. But beneath that neat summary lives the real story, a woman who felt safe enough to speak from her heart, and a man who gave her a reason to. If there is a next step, and it's hard not to believe there is, it will arrive on their timing, not ours. As the venue emptied and the echoes of the evening smoothed into quiet, you could almost see that single, glowing scene for what it was, two lives meeting in the middle and deciding, once again, to walk forward together. The cameras may have captured the night, but the truth of it belongs to them. Hazal Kaya's emotional words and the story of Çağatay Ulusoy's birthday surprise will be spoken about for a long time. Held up as proof that even in rooms built for spectacle, something gentle and true can take the lead. And if the whispers about marriage and new beginnings prove correct, people will point back to this as the moment the door first opened, when a gala turned, quietly and beautifully, into a love story told out loud.